Hello. Welcome to Dice Populi. We play games and tell stories together. There are 5 of us playing Dungeons & Dragons, 5th edition, with a twist. When a dungeon master finishes telling their story, a new dungeon master takes over, and every adventure is part of a single, overarching campaign. Cool, right? In this introduction, we'll give you new listeners everything you need to know to jump into Dice Populi feet first. So, let's set sail together. I'm Colin. I do a lot of work on the show, but most importantly, I help tie everybody's story together. Right now, that story is Dicey Waters, a seafaring adventure of escaped prisoners making their way through a string of lawless islands under the thumb of a distant mage lord empire. Separated by a great magical barrier called the Tear, these isles are cut off from civilization and overrun with magic, mystery, and dangers untold. It's here, in the Badlands, that our prisoners unite and sail off in search of home, purpose, and friendship. Add in some sound design, hours of original music, and a vibrant community, and you got yourself a podcast. The story of Dicey Waters wouldn't be possible, though, without our whole crew. So let me introduce you to Ryan, Matt, Josh, and Pat.
Hi, I'm Ryan Mossbarger, and I am the 2nd Dungeon Master of the Dicey Water campaign of Dice Populi. I'm also the community manager and handle most of our social media stuff. I play Cult, a spunky, evil libertarian necromancer just trying to have it all. Undead armies, lots of friends, no taxes, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's me and him. Very different. I don't raise anybody from the dead. I also believe taxes can be a good thing.
I'm Josh. I'm a figment of your imagination. And I'm very excited to be playing D&D with you guys. I've been playing D&D since I was like 14, 15, 13, 12. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I am playing an Oath of the Crown paladin for a fallen kingdom. So, hello, I am Sir Edmund Montgomery Blackwood. I was born in the Elven Kingdom of Ilion, the son of the human ambassador of the Kasani people. The Empire of Kasan had always been a militaristic empire. They were ambitious and ruthless, and when they invaded, my father upheld his oath. The invasion was brutal and swift. The royal family barricaded in the Emerald Palace. My brothers were slaughtered protecting the royal family. My mother was shuttered in with the queen in her royal chambers. I rushed to defend her, but I wasn't fast enough that time. I will find an heir. I will rally the people to overthrow the Kasani, and I will restore peace and order. He's kind of has an oath to nothing, but, still lives up to the ideals with the faction agent background. He's a half-elf, interracial child there, but he is lawful good still. He upholds his oath whenever he can, trying to spread light in the darkness, and he is a dexterity-based paladin. Yeah, that's me.
Hey everyone, my name is Matt, and I am the 4th Dungeon Master for the Dicey Waters campaign of Dice Populi. Along with editing our episodes, I also play as Maeve, the wild magic sorceress who's just coming to terms with her powers and abilities.
Howdy, my name's Pat, and I play a dragonborn fighter named Locke. Locke comes from a rough-and-tumble neighborhood on the mainland, where he got mixed up with the local ne'er-do-well organized crime syndicate known as the Black Tide. When his wife found out about all of this, she left and took their daughter with her. Brokenhearted and ready to put the blame on anybody but himself, Locke tried to sabotage the Black Tide, only for the organization to sell him out to the authorities in order to duck the heat from their latest job. As punishment for his crimes, Locke was sent to the Badlands to stew in his sins for the rest of his days. Locke likes to get a little bit nostalgic with Matt's character, Maeve, because she reminds him of his daughter, so there's a couple of little fun narrative things that happen there. Locke also starts getting mixed up in magic. Even though he's a fighter, he starts learning some spells, and he becomes an Eldritch Knight, which is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy playing him, so hope you dig the rest of our podcast.
If you like what you hear and you want to take in the Badlands for yourself, you can start listening to our first episode, Chapter 1, Escape from Farpoint. We'll put a link to that episode in our show notes, or you can scroll to the beginning of your podcast feed. There's also an introductory episode back there if you're curious, but Chapter 1 is where the action starts. Go ahead, pause this episode and go join Colt, Locke, Edmund, and Maeve at the start of their journey. That said, for those of you sticking around, massive spoilers ahead. If you prefer your podcasts unspoiled, hit pause right now and go jump into Chapter 1. To dive right in, here and now, you're in the right place. For the next 15 minutes, each Dungeon Master will summarize their entire campaign so you can join the story right away. No need to binge hours of podcasts just to keep up with your cool friends. No one's stopping you, though. After this recap, jump ahead to Chapter 37, New Blood. It's also linked in our notes. And brace for adventure. We'll update this recap in the future when we finish new adventures, and, well, we trust that you'll go through the backlog later. Right? 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 In the meantime, we've got a vibrant community, and if you're still interested in getting involved, well, you can head to dicepopuli.com and see our Discord, our Twitter, our Instagram, our adventures, our art. There's a lot to get into. We'll let you discover that for yourself. Escape from Farpoint is the first adventure in the tale of Dicey Waters, a prologue for our tale and a way to introduce all our players before the big stories get underway. It's only 3 episodes long, chapters 1, 2, and 3, but it packs a punch. It was written and DM'd by me, Colin. Here's what happened. Our 4 characters, Locke, Edmund, Maeve, and Colt, awaken in the Badlands, a large patch of islands blocked off from the mainland by a massive, mysterious barrier known as the Tear. They were brought here by the Mage Lords, the empire on the mainland that banished them here. They all got here by different means, but they're still imprisoned together. With quick thinking and deft magic, they escape their cell and befriend a friendly giant named Belle and an off-putting pale elf named Bait. They learn that they are on Farpoint, a far-flung isle run by the Farlord Barklock, a brutal orc leading a band of pirates, scavengers, and mercenaries. With Belle's help, they slip out of the prison yard and past the guards to retrieve their weapons and gear, when somebody notices the prisoners are missing. The Farlord attacks the gentle giant and the prisoners spring into action. After a hard-fought battle, Bait is thrown off a deadly cliff and Belle's life is lost, but the Farlord is defeated. The nearby troops force the prisoners to flee the camp. Colt takes the giant's skull, sets fire to all the docked ships but one, and they sail to freedom. But what does freedom mean in a place like this?
I have the auspicious position to kind of discuss our first Aboveboard episode. Aboveboards are interludes between our main adventures, so we can kind of bridge together the 2 different DMs and the 2 different arcs. The first one, of course, being post-Farpoint. The crew is being chased down by a menacing vessel, only to learn that the pirates aboard are not hostile, but after something entirely different. With new allies and Captain Bottlebrew and his crew, Edmund, Locke, Maeve, and Colt resupply and continue on their way to a nearby island for refuge, before a sickening smell and the sound of flies rises on the wind. In the distance, they see Stoneholm. As they approach, coming in on the horizon, the town is in hurried motion, and almost at once, a few people stop and shout, "A boat," making the entire town basically come to a standstill. Moving into the adventure proper, it came in the night. The adventure begins with the crew trying to find a safe way to leave the ship without being swarmed by desperate villagers begging for passage. Colt stays behind so he can drop them off in a quick pass and guard the boat. The crew begin to search for answers among the villagers and guards of the town and quickly learn the reason for the town's seeming madness. They have been terrorized by a monstrosity dubbed the Beast. Almost every 2 to 3 days, it kills a villager in grotesque fashion and then just disappears into the night. It has been doing this for months, and those with the ability to leave already have, leaving the remnants stranded. The crew decides to make contact with the local leader, the Stone Lord Alison Ricard, at her villa. They also meet the meager gnome guard Todley and the fervent attendant Desan Vea. Locke manages to get drunk somehow, and the group as a whole manage to really offend the Stone Lord, but relent just shy of treason and accept to help the town kill the beast. The crew begin to cobble together some clues and explore Stoneholm. They make contact with a guard who witnessed the beast firsthand, and he gives them a grave warning. From there, they hatch a plan to create a raffle for seats on their boat, a ruse of sorts to draw the remnants of the town to a central location and use them as bait. Father Sewin, the leader of the local Temple of Kellish in the town square, agrees to help them. Things work almost according to plan until the beast actually shows up, causing the locals to basically freak out and mob into the church for protection. Fortunately, first bad turn that takes place, Edmund is quickly downed by the beast, not even a fair fight. Followed shortly by Maeve through the just pure bad luck of a wild magic surge, accidentally killing a large portion of the townspeople as they're trying to make it into the church. A slaughter of their own making. The group, seeing the writing on the wall of their deeds, quickly flee into the wilderness and find the possible trail of the beast. It leads them to a spire-like peak at the center of the Isle of Stone, and it ends up being the burial chambers of Stonelord's past. They find a destroyed tomb and a mysterious stranger, an amused beast in human form, and who happens to be the long-lost brother of the Stone Lord. His name, Bellerin Ricard. They make a deal with the beast to help dethrone Allison Ricard, to stop the slaughter, and for safe passage off the island. After taking a moment to search for useful items and rest, they decide to venture back into town to see the damage and make contact with their friend Colt. They try their best to disguise themselves, some doing much better than others. The town has devolved into chaos as they burn their dead and destroy their homes in desperate attempts to build rafts to escape the island. After a quick meeting with Colt to discuss their plan and steps forward, they venture into town to gather supplies and make a ghastly discovery. Father Sewin has been beaten and left for dead for his part in the massacre. With heavy hearts, they patch his wounds and decide to go see the Stone Lord. They meet up with the beast again, surprised, outside the villa, and he tells them he knows of a secret way into and out of the villa and only needs them to set a trap for his arrival. They mean to double-cross the beast, of course, and instead of a trap for Allison, they will set an ambush for him. But it devolves quickly as Allison does not trust them, and they begin to squabble and fight. The fight is short-lived before the beast appears, and a great battle ensues between all the opposing forces. And after failing to impart a grave sickness on his sister, the beast falls and dies. Dasan decides to leave the service of the Stone Lord after she orders the death of the group, even though they had just saved her life and also were trying to warn her of what was about to happen. The Stone Lord rule no longer absolute. Dasan is unsure of their future and the future of the town. All they know is that they have no more room for the Stone Lord, and that it would probably be best if the group left quickly. And so they did, hopefully to happier adventures in the future.
In the next Aboveboard, after leaving Stoneholm, the crew reunites with the pirate ship Liberty, far worse for wear. Tired and dreary, Colt's spirits are lifted when Captain Bottlebrew takes him on an assault of a Magelord vessel, wrecking the ship and claiming the spoils. Edmund, a bastard of Ilion, discovers a kinship with Bottlebrew, while Locke and Maeve have a magical adventure all their own. With renewed vigor, the Bellend and her crew sail off again in search of a home, when a large storm on the horizon bears down on them faster than expected. Now, he couldn't be here for this recording, but this is where Josh takes over the ship and steers us into Trouble in Paradise, our third and wildest adventure. The storm ravages the Bellend and its crew, breaking the ship and casting them ashore on a previously unseen island. Gasping for breath, they gawk at the storm wall surrounding the island and the giant birds carrying desiccated Magelord vessels overhead. That's right, birds big enough to pick up a boat. A Triton native named Kaimana emerges from the trees. Edmund, wounded by a beast from the depths beneath the storm, is rushed to a village of friendly turtles, Tritons, and races from all across the Badlands. For those who don't know, turtles are big turtles, and they are big fun. Nana Turtle, the village elder, sends Colt, Locke, and Maeve to the Elder Tree to retrieve a fruit that may save Edmund's life. A nest to the great birds, the tree is littered with ships and structures, in which they find the captive elf, Bait. That's me. With nowhere else to go, Bait joins the climb up the tree before unceremoniously falling hundreds of feet into the brush below. Without him, they summit the elder tree only to be confronted by a baby roc, one of the great birds, and only just escape the tree with their lives, and the fruit barely intact. Colt, Locke, and Maeve regroup at the village to find Bait struggling to walk and return the broken fruit to Nana. Her potion stirs Edmund's breath before he passes away in the hut, devastating the crew. In the calm twilight, they grieve, but Nana offers hope. The great spirit within the island may save him. The turtles do not live on an island at all, it turns out, but on an ancient celestial turtle. Colt loves turtles, so this is kind of his jam. Traditional festivities begin, stories, contests, shows, and fireworks that elicit a pearl of power from the island. With hope in their hearts, the crew makes their way to the great being's head with Edmund's body, sacrificing the pearl with a plea from Maeve. Power flows into Edmund, reincarnating him in the body of a white-haired high elf with new mind and purpose. And with new purpose, he decides to remain in Turtle Bay. With heavy hearts, Maeve, Locke, Colt, and Bait decide to leave the island with no clue as to how. A village child's toy ship catches Maeve's eye, a magically imbued vessel that bends to its owner's will. In her hands, a new bellend forms. The Friendship, in honor of Edmund, who waves goodbye as the great rocks carry them over the storm and away from Turtle Bay forever.
Now, where we last left off, our band of adventurers had just said farewell to Sir Edmund Montgomery and the island of the Turtles. On the way back to meet Captain Bottlebrew, they found that the captain was being boarded by a Magelord ship. With the help of some stinky summons and fireballs by Colt, the Liberty was able to escape the Magelords with the party in tow. Bottlebrew then revealed his ultimate plan, to breach the tear and return to the mainland. His next request of the adventurers was simple, to check on a delivery of reinforcements that had been delayed for a while. Thus, Colt, Locke, and Bait set sail to the island of Arienor. As Locke, Colt, and Bait approached Arienor, they encountered a shipwrecked man battling a vicious shark. The man was Cordell, a friend of Captain Bottlebrew who was on his way to deliver the ship parts so desperately needed. Upon returning Cordell to the island, they met his wife Lori with a predicament. Their son, Byron, had gone missing in the night. Tasked with locating Byron in exchange for the ship parts, the adventurers set out to explore the island. Now, something they quickly realized was that Arienor was a Magelord colony, prized for its shipbuilding assets. They would have to be careful in order to attract the least amount of attention while visiting. Their explorations had them follow a set of wagon tracks outside of town to an abandoned cave, where they discovered signs of a struggle. Further exploration of the cave led to an ancient elevator that descended deep into the ground. After narrowly escaping the elevator as it broke mid-descent, the crew found themselves in a dark tunnel where they battled a hungry gelatinous cube. And let me be clear, when I say battled, I mean Locke sliced it to bits with the power of his belt of cloud giant strength. Thanks, Josh. So, after the cube got fucking dumpstered, they found a fountain filled with a silvery water-like fluid that let everybody relive bits of their past. Their reminiscing was interrupted, however, by the appearance of a hook-nosed man carrying an older gentleman through a portal in the room. Upon pursuing the strange couple through the portal, the party found themselves deep in the stronghold of the Magelords. After collecting some magic contraband, they managed to escape the keep to a sight to behold. The town of Arienor was aflame and under attack by a band of bandits. Suddenly, a white light flashed through the sky, blinding everyone and everything. When the party came to, they discovered that Arienor was whole once more, and that everything had returned back to its original state. The adventurers had become stuck in a time loop. Suspicious of the Magelords and their intentions, the party decided to investigate the Magelord stronghold. With the persuasion of some baked goods, they were allowed entry into the keep. They discovered that Arienor had an unfortunate history of children disappearing. Byron was not the first. The party then ventured into the jail cells below the keep and discovered the old man seen the day before. The old man was revealed to be Byron, somehow aged beyond recognition. The three combined their powers to break Byron from his cell, Cult, raising a slain guard and naming the zombie Jerry, Bait, transforming into a giant octopus, Locke, carrying Bait along. Successfully escaping the keep, the party fled to the forest where they ran into the bandits about to attack the town. Making acquaintances with their leader, Masak, the team turned and attacked the Mangelord Keep until the day reset itself once more. The third day began with the party convincing Cordell to not sail into the shark-infested waters and sailing to his potential death. They then went searching for the bandit encampment, which they discovered near the cave. Meeting with Masak again, they formed a new plan to ambush the hook-nosed man in the fountain room hidden deep in the ground. After venturing to the cave and setting their trap, they sprung it when the hook-nosed man appeared. The man revealed himself to be Charon Strauss, second in command of the mage lords on the island, and the culprit behind the missing children of Arienor. Strauss was siphoning their life force into himself with the goal of replacing the island's patron god, Lema. After a tense battle, the adventurers successfully defeated Strauss and brought an end to the time loop and returned Byron, young once again, to his family.
After foiling Strauss's plot to become the latest member of the Pantheon, the party returns to the Liberty with the necessary reinforcements. Upon their return, Captain Battlebrew informs the party that these supplies will be used to test the Liberty's merit against the Terror as part of a test. Captain Battlebrew and his crew, with the assistance of our heroes, install the reinforcements to the ship, beefing up the hull with steel plates and adding portholes and oars, as they head towards the secondary Terror located in the center of the Badlands. With everyone below decks, the crew begins to row, propelling the ship into the tear as Battlebrew begins to count the seconds, his goal being a minute within the tear. Debris from stranded ships crashes against the hull of the Liberty, causing crew members to fall over as the ship begins to deviate from its intended path. A large piece of a ghost ship slams into the hull as it becomes clear that the Liberty is near its breaking point. Disoriented from the latest impact, Battlebrew thinks that they have completed their task, and he calls for the crew to get the hell out of the tear. They desperately row as quickly as they can to reach open waters, and once safe, Locke and Colt realize that Maeve is nowhere to be found. As they search everywhere on the Liberty for her, Maeve suddenly appears in the water just outside of the tear. Locke dives in to save her, bringing her back to the safety of the ship. Then the party heads back to the Friendship, when they spot a ship with black sails headed toward them at an alarming speed. Locke begins to panic, trying desperately to get the Friendship moving, but before he can set sail, he is thrown off of the deck and into the water, where he does not emerge. The black-sailed ship begins to speed away from the Friendship, leaving no trace besides a stench so foul that the crew struggles to even stay conscious.
That is the adventure of Dicey Waters so far. You've got all you need to know to jump into Chapter 37 of the podcast. Of course, there's always more. You can find artwork, original soundtracks, social media, Patreon, our Discord server, and more all at dicepopuli.com. But the story keeps on going. If you're curious about the past, our old stories are ready and waiting. If, like us, you're curious about the future, stick around and see where the journey takes us. Welcome to Dice Populi, to our community, and welcome to the Badlands.